Please, please hurry. What followed next wasn't merely a tragic accident, it was a living nightmare, one that played out before the eyes of hundreds of shocked onlookers and left behind a silence that still lingers on the glass of that tank to this day. This is the tale of Elisa Hartley, and Moros, the orca she loved more than anyone else. If this account stays with you, if it makes you stop, gets under your skin, or instills a sense of something that you cannot shake, don't turn away. As with this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science. Share it with someone who needs to know. Because the greatest truths don't always shout. Sometimes, they drown in silence. Before she learned to swim, she was already able to imitate the mournful call of a whale. As other kids were busy with sandcastles and plastic buckets, she would sit on the shore, eyes shut, hands cupped to her ears, attempting to commit the rhythm of the waves to memory. At 10, she could recite from memory the migratory patterns of humpbacks and an orca's song from the chatter of a dolphin without hesitation. Her childhood was not one of sleepovers and cartoons, it was a life of field notes, salt-crusted boots, and lists of animals no one else in her class had ever even heard of. Alisa was not looking for attention. She was racing towards something more profound, insight. She started volunteering at a seaside aquarium when she was 16, cleaning algae off of tanks and asking the sorts of questions that caused marine biologists to hesitate mid-sentence. Not because she wished to be impressive, but because she had to know, why the eyes of a sea lion would grow dull, why one orca would play for hours while another floated silently for hours. She had graduated with honors in marine biology, with a major in animal behavior. But her best talent couldn't be quantified or assessed, it was the manner in which animals reacted to her, as if sensing something in her voice. Something secure. Something sincere. When Oyana's Park came to hire her immediately after graduation, Alisa didn't hesitate. Others thought it was a dream job. To her, it was a calling. She wasn't there to train animals, she was there to listen to them, to comprehend them, to nurture them. Her co-workers noticed it immediately, how Moros, the park's largest and most unpredictable orca, seemed oddly calm in her presence. He followed her movements, responded to her cues with unusual precision. It wasn't fear, and it wasn't dominance. It was something else. They don't speak our language, she would tell herself again and again, but they're always speaking. She listened, not forcefully, not commandingly, but simply present, patiently. Alisa did not put herself over the animals she helped, she stood alongside them. Her faith in coexistence was steadfast, and it would lead her deeper with Moros than anyone had ever been brave enough to go. He was gorgeous like a storm is gorgeous, quiet, enormous, and utterly incomprehensible. Moros wasn't born in a tank. He was removed from the wild, ripped from his pod off the frozen coast of Greenland when he was only 3 years old. The locals said the sky boomed on that day, as though the sea itself wept for his removal. When Alisa encountered him, more than 2 decades had passed since Moros was first taken captive. He had become colossal, over 22 feet in length, weighing almost 12,000 pounds. His dorsal fin sagged to one side, unnatural curve achieved over years of stagnating in quiet water. White patches of scar tissue evidenced black skin, testifying to sparring with other males for dominance. To the public, he was Oyana's Park's star. He broke high, tail slapped dramatically, drenched front row fans. But trainers were familiar with another Moros, one of erratic moods, lengthy bouts of drifting stillness, fits of irascibility. They were aware of his signs of warning, jaw-popping, grinding of teeth, defying commands unprovoked. And they remembered his past, 2 previous incidents. One with a trainer outside the country. The other, a man who had been discovered lifeless on his back from having broken in one night. Both were covered by press releases and silent internal memos. Remembered by people. Never forgotten by Moros. Experts spoke of what captivity did to orcas, how the enclosure broke minds built for infinite oceans and lifetime family ties. They described tanks as glass cages for giants and orcas as time bombs. But the spectators continued to flock, and Moros continued to perform. Still. Something was shifting. His steps became slower, his eyes lingered longer, his quietness prolonged. And Alisa, his sole trusted human, never looked away. June 17th dawned as any summer day would at Oyanna's Park. Blue skies. Fans streaming into the stadium with popcorn and cameras. Kids sticking their faces against the glass. Alisa rehearsed in the background for another echo of the deep performance. Moros hovered close to the platform, uncharacteristically silent even for him. He had only nibbled the previous evening and spent hours drifting at the top. She caught on, but she was not concerned. Moros had moods. She had learned to adjust. At 2 p.m., she climbed onto the poolside deck. Her wetsuit stuck, her headset in place, her hair pulled back. Moros broke the surface in a slow roll, sending mist flying over the cheering fans. The performance started. Initially, it worked as if on practice, smooth curves, forceful tail slaps, impeccable timing. But something went awry. Moros stalled, flubbed a cue, slid onto the platform late, smacked the water with uncustomary vigor. Trainers on the periphery exchanged nervous glances. Alisa noticed too. Her brow tightened, but her movement stayed calm, coaxing him back into rhythm with soft, practiced signals. Then came the close contact maneuver, one she'd done countless times. She stood inches from the water, extended her arm, signaling him to swim alongside her. For an instant, the stadium hung in the balance. A witness described it later as, he dove down, then came up, but not where he was supposed to. It didn't feel right. And then, suddenly, Moros darted forward. His jaws snapped shut on Alisa's arm and dragged her into the water. There were screams. Some assumed it was all a publicity stunt, until they realized it wasn't. The water burst into chaos. Moros flailed, pulling her under. Alarms sounded. Trainers rushed with deterrent voices, nets, and fish, but nothing disrupted his concentration. This was not confusion. It was a fracture, between trust and instinct, routine and reality. At 2:41 p.m., she broke the surface. The stadium was quiet. The show was finished. The audience watched in terror as Moros plunged once more, dragging her down with him, bubbles and blood bubbling up in his wake. Trainers screamed themselves hoarse, but Moros was out of reach. When Alisa's body was finally released, it was too late. CPR did not work. The crowd was evacuated, children covered from the view. Within 7 minutes, a life of work built on trust and compassion had been cut short in brutality. The water would never be the same again. Oyanna's Park locked down within the hour. Caution tape sealed the stadium. Digital schedules went blank. The usual soundtrack of laughter and splashing was replaced by heavy, oppressive quiet. A statement followed before sunset. We are heartbroken to confirm the loss of one of our most experienced trainers, Elisa Hartley. Our thoughts are with her family, her colleagues, and all who loved her. No questions. No photographs. Behind closed doors, investigators examined every second of tape, reopened Moros's previous incident files, and correlated them with the histories of staff who had witnessed the warning signs. The autopsy showed immense trauma, broken ribs, cracked sternum, dislocated shoulder, severe internal injury. Cause, drowning following extended submersion, although the injuries themselves could have been fatal. When the report broke, headlines thundered. Whale turns deadly. Tragedy at Oyanna's. Star trainer murdered before stadium crowd. Social media blew up, hashtag justice for Alisa, hashtag free Moros, hashtag shut down Oyanna's. Some said it was avoidable, citing reports that went unheeded and a history of what went wrong. Others said it was a random tragedy. For those who were present, who had attempted to grab her, there was no debate. Only silence. And the burden of what had been lost. When rumors initially circulated regarding an international arrest warrant for Deputy President Paul Moschetle, everyone brushed it off as political drama, another story in the tempest of South African rumor. The rumors grew into a firestorm, however, that rocked the African National Congress, ANC, to its foundations. The terms arrest and international warrant had never been so strongly associated with an incumbent South African leader. Now, the country waits in stunned amazement as charges, diplomacy, and political rivalries become entangled, potential to reconfigure the leadership of the country and change its political destiny forever.